Hello, BookTube. I have a few scattered odds and ends to discuss with you. This video shouldn't be long, just a bunch of things that I wanted to mention that I forgot to update you on. The first of which is a thing that I could kick myself for at the end of the video that I just made on Your Daily Penguin, on The Prince by Machiavelli. I was going to end the book with a Penguin-adjacent recommendation, a book that's not a Penguin classic, but that is close to the subject of the Penguin classic that we talked about that day. A lot of you have said that you like that. And I had all planned to do it. I had a prop and everything. I got so caught up in talking about Machiavelli that I didn't do it. So I wanted to add this as a note to that we were talking about Machiavelli's The Prince. I wanted to use it as an example to recommend once again Sebastian de Graccia's book, Machiavelli in Hell. This is, this is an old trade paperback. I don't think the paperback looks like this anymore. But this is astonishing. Just weird, strange, and astonishing. If you can find a copy, and you're interested in the subject of the Prince or Machiavelli just in general, there are huge biographies of Machiavelli. There are huge novels about him. There are shorter biographies of him, plenty. I don't think one is scheduled for 2020, but every 5 years sees a new one. This is the strangest of them all. It's the strangest one that will ever be done. Its style might not appeal to you. It might put you off. I would urge you to give it a try, especially if you can, like, for instance, get it in an ebook through the library or something like that, to give it a try. But if you are already interested in the subject and you know that you're going to want to read this from front to back, I would get a copy because it's tremendously good. So that was odds and end number one, and then odd and end number two was about Camp NaNoWriMo. Haven't given a Camp NaNoWriMo update at all this month. That is a writing event that happens in April, sort of a spin-off of the main NaNoWriMo event for writing a novel in November. I put out the word that I wanted to do a writing group with as many of you as you were interested. You can have 20 people in a group. I think we're at 20 or close to it. I put out the call and got all sorts of IDs for people for their NaNoWriMo ID, and then we built a writing community. And I also developed a project, an actual Foursquare murder mystery, Murder at Furrow Place, which is an English country home. I had the idea of maybe setting a murder in a different English country home for each book in a series, because when you write a murder mystery, you think about series. But the main goal was to try my hand at writing an actual formal murder mystery with clues and red herrings and many suspects and a pair of sleuths to see about approaching strict plotting. Murder mysteries require strict plotting. They require you, the writer, to know everything ahead of time and to fold it back and back on itself to make the mystery have more bite. And I am terrible at that. I'm terrible at that kind of writing. So I thought, what better way, what better time, what better circumstance to practice and maybe get a little better would be to try it. And I set a goal of, I think, 25,000 words, which is half of normal NaNoWriMo. I thought I would do just a real quick novella or long short story murder mystery. And I'm well over halfway done with that word count, and I'm noticing one thing beyond anything else, which is that I need a lot more room. I need a lot more room. So either, as I put it to our discussion group, either I'm going to start killing people left, right, and center, or I'm going to have to extend my word limit, because I don't know whether it's that I have bitten off more than I could chew with a murder mystery, that maybe writing murder short stories was really hard and I just didn't know it. Either that, or I am just a long-winded writer. It could be that I'm just a long-winded writer. We shall see. I'm having fun doing it. I am the first to admit that the thing that I tell all sorts of new writers is true for me as well. When you're learning to do something, that's often an uncomfortable experience. It's often not pleasant to learn to do something. It only becomes pleasant when you're good enough to do it, at least a little, even amateur-wise. And I am learning how to do this kind of writing. So I haven't been just pound away at the keyboard, smile on my face for an hour, overjoyed with Murder at Furrow Place, the way I have with virtually every other NaNoWriMo connected story that I've ever done, because I'm learning how to do this, and that dims it quite a bit. Because when you're learning how to do anything, whether it's learn a language, learn how to ski, learn to write, you can make mistakes. That's when you do make big mistakes. You make big, fundamental, avoidable mistakes that are only the product of inexperience. And that's a rotten feeling. no matter what you're trying to do, no matter what you're learning to do. That's a rotten feeling. I'd forgotten that, so maybe it's good for me. So that's my Camp NaNoWriMo update, is that Murder at Furrow Place is going along. It's just I don't know whether I'm going to have to lengthen it or, God forbid, stop at the end of April when it's not finished. I don't know how that's going to work. And then the last of the little bits and pieces that I wanted to update you on. Oh no, there are two more. There are two more. I might as well give you an update since you suffered through the horrible video of me getting all those loose keys in the mail. I have a MacBook Air. I don't have it here in the room with me. I have a MacBook Air that I have eroded 3 of the keys, the A, D, and S key, so that you can't see the letters anymore, so you can see the light of the lighted panel of the keyboard shining up through the key, through the middle of the key. It looks like those keys are going to crack. And then I don't think I'd be able to use them after that. And to forestall that, I thought, well, I will go online and I will order keys. I'll order replacement keys. I have to order a whole set. And we'll just learn how to pop those keys out without breaking the mechanism and pop new keys back in. So I did. I ordered a whole keyboard of keys and they came in the mail, and I upset a lot of you. I upset a great number of you, actually, dozens and dozens of people. Apparently, in the video when I opened the mail and I showed you those keys, I mentioned just offhandedly, it wasn't any big deal to me, I mentioned just offhandedly that I could really put any 3 keys in those places. It doesn't have to be the A, D, and S key. I could put numbers in there if I want. I don't care. I touch type. And that twisted quite a few knickers. People saying, no, you absolutely have to put the same keys back in those same places. You can't just put an exclamation point and a semicolon there. What's the matter with you? That bothered a lot of people. I'm sorry about that. Didn't mean to cause any psychological stress. But I watched a whole bunch of tutorials on how to replace a key, and then I solemnly brought the MacBook Air out to the desk, and I cleared the desk off, and I put it down there, and I put the 3 keys next to it, and I got I have a knife that is it's got quite a fine blade. So it was the tool that I was going to use, and I successfully popped off the D key. After a little bit of fiddling around, according to the videos that I'd watched, I successfully popped the D key off and picked up the new D key and realized only at that point that it was the wrong size, that none of the keys fit. They're all just a tiny fraction of an inch too big for the space. So I double and triple checked when I ordered these things. The seller said replacement keys and then listed the model number of every single iPad that they fit, and mine was one of them. So we're once again in a position where an Amazon retailer lied, just simply lied. And I'm not going to be able to call them on it, because the last time that a retailer lied on a sale and I got something that wasn't what I ordered, and I wrote, it came quickly, everything's in perfect condition, but the retailer lied because this is not what they described, that Amazon removed that. They don't apparently like negative criticism. So I don't know what to do when it comes to replacement keys. I would like to replace all 3 of those keys, and I'd like to have a bunch of keys for when the other keys wear out. But I was scrupulous, so what's my guarantee that the same thing won't happen again if I'm scrupulous again? If I go back on Amazon, go to a different seller who's selling keys for this model of MacBook Air, and what happens if they lie as well, and I get another batch of keys that don't fit? I don't know, one way or another. So that's where that stands, except that I ordered a keyboard cover, a plastic keyboard cover. Figure that could mitigate the damage maybe for a little while if I can't find replacement keys, and if the Apple Store continues to be closed. The Apple Store and all other stores in Boston here are closed, of course. So, and a lot of those stores are closed on streets like Boylston or Newbury Street, where the rents are still expected, and the rents are astronomical. So I'm not 100% sure that the Apple Store will reopen. I'm not sure that any store will reopen. Apple, I think, maybe will, and then all it would take is for me to go and stand in line for 15 hours in order to talk to a genius who's gets to use that title, even though his genius doesn't extend to daily hygiene. They can replace these keys in 2 seconds, and maybe that's what I'll end up doing. And in the meantime, I have a choice of either to go and order another set of keys and hope that these ones fit, or I'll be getting a plastic keyboard cover in the mail, which I can use. I don't like them. I like the feeling of typing on just the ordinary MacBook keyboard, but I don't want those keys to crack. I don't want this to be a useless machine. So that is that part of the update. And then the last little update here is about our Trollope read-along. Anthony Trollope, the Victorian novelist, famous for his two novels in series that people love and read over and over again. We read one of those series all last year. But for 2020, we are reading his standalone novels. We are consorting with Lonely Trollops for the year of 2020. And right now, we're in the middle of Mr. Scarborough's Family. And I've heard from quite a few of you that you're enjoying it quite a bit. That's gratifying to me. It is a very, very enjoyable novel. And I had thought that to announce the next one. I got so caught up in talking about Trollope during our last read-along session that I didn't do it. But I've had emails from a number of you saying, I'd like time to prepare. I'd like time to get the book in case I don't want an e-read download. I want time to order a copy online and have it sent to me. So could we maybe decide on the next Trollope book now? And we certainly can. And I was originally leaning towards Orley Farm. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, yeah, the world is dark and depressing enough as it is. Why don't we go with another book that we can have a lot of fun with? It's not really possible to have a lot of fun with Orley Farm. So let's instead, for the month of May, let's do The American Senator. So this is the Oxford mass market paperback with a fox hunting scene, of course. Look at the babies, boo, 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 boo. But you can get this from Project Gutenberg. This is free as a download, and Project Gutenberg has very neat, very clean e-copies. There are also all sorts of other copies here. So for the month of May, that's what we're going to do. Now I'll do actual page and chapter breaks down with the next Trollope read along. But I wanted to get this in there as soon as possible, and there were no videos yesterday. Sorry about that. My Monday it was pouring rain here, not sprinkling from time to time. It was slapping down rain, pouring buckets of rain all day long. And massively windy. So when I go to the front door and look out, you can see these just curtains of rain blowing up the street. And when the weather is like that, the Wi-Fi doesn't work in this building. It works minimally, but it doesn't. The Wi-Fi necessary to upload a document, to upload a video, would never have happened. It would have taken all day. I didn't even bother to try because it would just have irritated me. I know that already about this place. So I figured rather than make a video and try to upload it and get angrier and angrier, I would just skip it. So I just skipped the day. I skipped a lot because without Wi-Fi, I couldn't really contact the outside world much. So I mainly just read on the couch with Frida Bean curled up in my arm like that, sound asleep. She didn't want to go out or even talk about going out. She didn't want to hear it. And we were on the couch in the other room, right next to a window. So the rain was just hitting that window. It was perfect for reading, just perfect. There was just enough light to read. It was so dark. There was just enough light to read, and the rain was hitting that window, and there was no one around. It was just delightful. So I can't really apologize for the day that I spent. But I didn't use the community feature on YouTube. I really should do that to warn you all that there's no videos coming today. But I didn't make this announcement yesterday, so I'm making it today. So the next Trollope that we're going to do for our year of consorting with Lonely Trollops is The American Senator. I think you're all going to like this one. I think there's one element in particular that you have, virtually every one of you who is new to Trollope, who's discovering Trollope with me on this channel, virtually every person who's doing that has commented in unison that the most surprising thing about Trollope, this bewhiskered British Victorian civil servant, is the amazing way that he writes women. And I agree with that completely. We saw that all of last year. But the one thing that's missing from Mr. Scarborough's Family is anything like that. In any big deal. There's Dolly Gray, and she's a very minor character in the book. She comes close to being a remarkable portrait. But I'm talking about the big thing, the big way that Trollope, when he does a great female character. And boy, oh boy, is there a great female character in this book. Oh my. I figured there's a great female character in Orley Farm as well, but this is a little bit lighter. It's a little bit more of the Trollope that you will really like, and you might not have read it. So there are all of your scattered bits and pieces. Sorry about all of that. That's your next Trollope, my Camp NaNoWriMo update, my update on the saga of my poor MacBook Air. I'm just trying to save its life. That's all. Those 3 keys are going to crack open, and I don't know what to do about that. I'll put a plastic keyboard cover over them. I maybe will try again to get keys that fit that keyboard. Certainly the popping off the key was fairly easy. If the new keys had actually fit the keyboard, I'd be fine. That would have been comparatively easy to do. But and Machiavelli in Hell, which is, I never want to miss an opportunity to recommend this book. So there you go. Those are all your updates for now. So I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.